Welcome into another edition of Austin's Off the Air. This is kind of our behind-the-scenes program where you really get to know the Austins and what we do. Good morning. I'm David Austin.
Good morning. Really? What if someone's listening to this at a different time?
Then they are welcome to say
good day.
Good day to you, or good evening to you, or salutations. Greetings.
Greetings.
This is kind of a fun program. It's a little more business-based than our regular weekday radio show, Austin's On the Air.
Sure.
And that's why it's called Austin's Off the Air. That, and it's a podcast, so it truly is not on the air.
Technically.
There you go.
I guess.
Again, I'm David Austin, Yolanda Joanne Sherwood Austin, the prettiest girl I've ever seen. And I got to tell you, that top and those jeans you're wearing today, spectacular.
Well, thank you. This is the fashion report. I love this top. I love the color. I don't think I've ever owned anything this color. If you're watching the video, you'll see. If you're not watching it, why aren't you watching it? We're so much fun.
Here's why that's so nice looking for you right now.
Yes.
It's green, and it really complements your eye color and your hair color.
Oh.
You look like a movie star.
Well, thank you very much. The best part about it is that it's thrifted.
Oh.
But it's not only thrifted, it was thrifted and customized, I guess,
yes,
by me, because it was a dress.
Right.
And I cut the bottom right off and made it into a shirt.
And the thing that I like about that shirt that you're wearing is it's the exact same color as my graduation robe. And when it was a dress, it looked a lot like that.
If I could have found the right belt for it, which I searched and searched for a couple of months.
Right.
Well, actually, more than a couple of months, because I think I wore this to a Christmas party this year. So for like 5 months, or 4 or 5 months, I've been searching for the right belt, and I just couldn't. And then I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to just alter it myself. And our daughter Ada would be proud of me. She
it
often
was awesome.
alters her clothing.
Seeing you sitting at the craft table, which is really just our dining room table, last night with your
shears,
garment scissors. Awesome. Really fun to see.
Okay. Well, anyway, I was doing all kinds of stuff last night.
Yeah.
Repairing clothing items and putting patches on pants. And
Only you can do that. No one else can.
Well, that's not
Other
true. A
people
lot
don't
of
know how
people
to
do.
that.
I don't know why. Like I am so cheap in so many ways.
There's nothing wrong with that. I support that wholeheartedly. I'm a 100% supporter of your frugal attitude.
Well, and I'll tell you what, it comes in handy. I have had to be frugal for many years for many reasons we don't have time to get into today. But like I have some TikToks where I talk about, I paid off $150,000 more. It was more than $150,000 in debt. And so I know how to pinch a penny like nobody's business.
Right.
And so I do. And those skills are valuable skills for sure, especially right now as, the economy is doing some crazy things. Let's get into that a little bit.
Okay. Silicon Valley Bank closed its doors on Friday. It was the second largest bank collapse in American history. And not the lead story in every newscast, which is shocking to me.
Right. So we want to address it today because I know this freaks a lot of people out.
Right.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and we're seeing it. There was another bank in New York, then collapsed. Another one in California today. People are making a run on the bank, and so I said on our radio show this morning,
Austin's on the air.
David, should I go pull? And not really me, because I know, but should I go pull all my money out because I'm scared and this is freaking me out? And I liked your answer.
No, absolutely you should not, because you don't have more than $250,000 in a depository
that you know of.
So it's FDIC insured, and what that means is the federal government will guarantee you get your money back up to $250,000 per depository. Well, if you've got that in the depository, then, anything more than that, you might want to move to a different bank. But if you've just got that in there, you're fine. Even if you're at Silicon Valley Bank. Now, the reason this is such a big deal
Thank you.
is because most of the cryptocurrency companies use this bank because this is the bank to startups in Silicon Valley.
Right.
So this will have for sure impacts on the already beleaguered cryptocurrency market. On top of that, if you have an Etsy store, no money for you today because that bank is closed today. So, sorry, that's where Etsy sends their money to store owners from that bank.
Right.
And we're talking about a big, big problem, like 120 some odd billion with a B dollar problem.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
Why have we not had a recession declared when we are clearly in a recession?
Because it's not good politics. And when we had our second decline in our gross domestic product, typically that signals, hey, we're in a recession. The federal government was like, well, no, because employment numbers are better than they've ever been. And I got news for you. Historically, recessions start with good employment numbers.
Right.
They end with very bad employment numbers.
Right.
So the fact that we're now talking about banks collapsing. I joked about this in a presentation on Thursday to a group of 15 business owners. I joked about,
right.
I'm a mortgage guy who went through the last recession. And, it's not like banks are closing when you've got clients sitting at the closing table waiting for their money to come. And then the bank calls you and says, hey, sorry, no money. But it is exactly like that if you're working with Silicon Valley Bank or Silicon Valley Bank.
Okay, a couple of things that I want to say.
Yes.
Give us your take on it that you shared also this morning on Austin's On the Air, because I love your perspective.
Well, I don't know exactly what you're speaking of. Can you guide me a little bit in what you're looking to suss out of me?
Yeah, the recession, depression.
Oh, yeah. If you are paying your bills, okay, so this is for you people who are sitting at home listening to this, wondering if this is going to dramatically change your life. And the answer is maybe, but here's the deal. If you're able to make your payments and pay all of your bills, life's good. Don't get stressed out. Life's okay. If your bills start to slide a little and you're getting behind on paying your bills, but you're still, for the most part, maintaining your expenses, then you're in a recession, a personal recession. Now, if you can't pay your car note or your mortgage and the bank starts calling you, then you're in a depression.
Right.
So that's the way you need to look at it. Don't look at it as, here's a bank in California that's going sideways. Oh, and by the way, the next day, a bank in New York State went sideways. Oh, and now a third one may be going today. Don't look at it that way. Look at your money. Make sure you can pay your bills. And if you can, stop stressing.
Okay.
That's the way I feel about it.
And I really like that perspective because I know, a lot of people who are like, forget it. I'm pulling all my money out and putting it in a mattress. You know what I mean?
Doing that is what causes financial systems to collapse.
There you go.
A run on the bank. I'll never forget. I was sitting at a closing table in Kennewick, Washington in 2008, and we were about to fund a loan, and the lender was, I think, IndyMac Bank, maybe. I'm not sure on who the lender was, right?
Okay.
And I get a phone call from my lender who says, hey, buddy, bad news. And I said, what's that? Yeah, we can't fund any more of our loans. And I said, oh, well, that's no big deal because, we're sitting at one now, and I don't, and he goes, no, David, the closing you're at, we won't be able to fund that transaction. And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, because we can't capitalize any of our construction loans because the bank closed today.
Yikes.
Today. I don't know if I'm going to get a paycheck. Well, we know about Silicon Valley Bank. All of those people will get paid for the next 45 days. Thanks to Uncle Sam.
Right.
And I think a British bank is in talks to buy them, actually.
We did just hear that. And so that'll be interesting to watch.
And they'll buy them for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
You won't get your deposits that are over the FDIC insured limit back.
That's what you do, right? You buy low, sell high.
That's exactly right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the other thing about this bank is because they loan much of their money to startups in Silicon Valley, really they're the high-tech startup bank. That's what they are, right? They then have invested that money in other things like treasuries, right? Well, now that the bank is closed, the people who put their money in the bank, that borrowed it from them and then put it in the bank so the bank could reinvest it into treasuries, now have lost all of their money because their operating capital, which they let the bank put like mutual fund money and all that, that's all gone because it's not invested in the name of that business. It's invested in the name of the bank.
Gotcha.
So those funds are gone too. So I got news. This is going to have far-reaching effects,
right?
No matter what. But again, if you can pay your bills, the sky is not falling.
Okay.
If you're a little behind, we'll catch up, right?
Yeah.
If you can't pay your bills, then you're in a recession and or a depression. You're in a depression,
right?
If you can't pay your bills, then there's trouble. Then we need to have a different conversation.
So I want to talk a little bit about how it might affect the housing market, but I also want to, before we get kind of make that shift.
Okay.
So what happens if the federal government is making sure I get my money, if it's FDIC, insured,
yep.
then do they ever run out of money?
Well, it comes out of the federal coffers, so they can print more money. They're the people in charge of money.
What happened during the Great Depression then?
They printed more money, and they had a war to get us out of the Depression. Wars always generate a lot of revenue.
Right.
That's what happened. That's what cleaned everything up. Anytime there's massive war spending, that generates money in the economy. You got plant workers going to work. You got this going on. You've got defense spending, creates synergy in the market. So if you're asking, do I think a war will start because this bank went away?
I'm not. I
don't see a direct causation, but it is interesting that there is a war in Europe right now. Mm-hmm. That is interesting.
Right.
And now we're talking about canceling TikTok. And the reason we're talking about that's to take our mind off the economy. It's don't look here instead.
So this is the whole TikTok thing. It irritates me to no end. And this is why. I don't know why there's such a big movement to ban TikTok in the US. Like, what the hell? The whole, let me just give my opinion, say what you want, send the emails.
Okay.
It's fine. I'm a big girl. I can take it. Here's what I like about TikTok. And here's why I don't buy the narrative. I don't buy the narrative that it's, they're selling secrets to the Chinese government. And if they are, for what? I cannot connect the dots.
Right.
That's what annoys me about the narrative. It doesn't make sense. People will believe it because they're brainwashed to believe, oh yeah, Chinese bad. And so they'll just believe that, oh, well, of course we've got to shut it down because we don't want our secrets going to China. Well, huh?
How's China getting our secrets because some guy who may or may not work for the government likes watching voice impersonators on TikTok?
It's a Chinese-owned company created by a guy who was probably tired of watching his family make $2 a month,
right?
Putting together, U.S. goods. I mean, come on. Anyway, okay, so
it's a privately owned company in a communist country, and the owner of TikTok says, "I don't share information with the government."
Right.
And whether or not
it's true,
whether or not he does, how is that going to impact us negatively? Now, let me answer that. Go ahead. Say
well,
it.
I just wanted to finish my thought about the only reason I could see anyone would want to ban TikTok in the U.S. is they want to put a muzzle on information. And here's why I say that. Because we get information. There's no faster way that we're getting information today than TikTok. And you might say, oh, well, Google. No. Google is a search engine. I have to know what I'm searching for. TikTok, I get information that I wasn't searching for that I actually want to know.
Right.
So I find news stories and news information on TikTok a day, 2 days, a week before stuff breaks on the national news.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is a very the fastest information highway I can think of.
Well, and I flippantly joked last week that, there's some kid in Silicon Valley sitting there hoping TikTok is banned so they can release the newest update, and we'll call it flip-flop. And they're generating that. Here's the problem. The bank that funds their capitalization just went under.
Right. So flip-flop is not going to happen.
So I feel bad for flip-flop because their money was in treasuries that now that bank can't pay.
Right.
And now that's been seized by the federal government to recapitalize the people who've lost their deposits through the FDIC.
And while we've all been watching the shiny object of ban TikTok or don't ban TikTok, now we're now seeing banks collapse.
That's right.
So it's like,
now here's the good that will come of this.
Okay.
Here's the good that will come of this.
And also I want to get to how it may or may not affect lending and housing.
That's the good that will come of it.
Okay.
Here's why. Historically, when recessions happen, house values continue to go up. They continue to go up. They don't go down. They went down once in recent memory, and that was in 2008 and 2009 when the recession was caused by bad home loans, or at least the banks told us that's what it was, right?
Right.
It was really Federal Trade Commission rules changes that made banks that have that are publicly traded, that have something that's 90 days past due, they had to write that debt down as non-collectible. That's what caused the problem. That's what caused the problem then, right? So it was an FTC rules change, really. It was, we love to talk about these dirty, filthy lenders who are giving these bad loans.
Right.
Salespeople only sell what is available for them to sell.
Right.
They're not making policy at their banks. Loan officers, I'm not telling Envoy Mortgage, okay, this is the kind of loan you're going to let me sell. That's just not a thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So salespeople were not the cause of that crash because they were doing what they were told to do in the commission of their jobs, right? Here's what's going to be good about this. Traditionally, in a recession, home values do not decline, but interest rates, boy, howdy, they sure do. So the interest rates that have more than doubled since December of 2021 are going to start going back down. That's what's going to happen once the world recognizes we're in a recession. Once it's said out loud, oh, yeah, by the way, we were just kidding back in November when we were having the big election, and we were saying it wasn't a recession. Whoopsie doodle, it was. When that announcement is made, then we'll see interest rates go down, not up.
Right.
And that's good news.
This is why we, both of us, kind of have this perspective in life. Look at the big picture.
Right.
And now,
focus
in on me and mine. Are we doing okay?
Right. That's exactly right.
Be aware and don't be panicked. Don't be fearful. Don't be Yeah. So
and the layoffs that have been happening in the high tech sector over the last 3 months were precursors of this bank going away.
Right. This is
People
not shocking.
went to get their money, and that's why the bank went away, because the bank had to sell these treasuries that they bought for a loss. And when they started liquidating those, that's when the bank shareholders were like, whoa, let's get our stuff out.
Yep. And then they made a run on the bank and boom, it collapsed.
And that's what happened in 1929 when we went into the Great Depression.
Right.
That's what happened when the owner of maybe IndyMac Bank went to bed a billionaire and woke up $700 million behind.
Right.
Went to bed a billionaire and woke up in debt $700 million.
Oof.
That's crazy. Right? Mm-hmm. That stuff can happen, and it's happening now. Mm-hmm. And anybody who's going to say, well, our financial policies couldn't possibly have caused that. Well, yeah, that's what happens when the Fed wants to slow inflation and they raise the Fed fund rate. They raise the money that banks can borrow intraday.
Right.
It makes business more expensive, so people stop buying. Well, what it also does is makes people nervous, so they may go to the bank and take out their money. If they do that, the bank will collapse.
Right.
And that's part of what happened here.
And if you're like me and you're eyes are starting to glaze over and you're starting to get overwhelmed and a little panicked, that's why I want to bring it back to me and mine.
Right.
We are okay.
Right.
Right here in this little unit, in this little house, we're okay.
Yeah.
We can pay our bills. We're putting food on the table. We're putting gas in the cars. Everything is okay.
Frankly, I'm surprised that it's taken this long for a large bank to go down since last year.
Sure.
I'm surprised that it's taken this long. And if you watch the policymakers when they give speeches, they've been saying key words like, the job market is a little over tight and we need to see some loosening. Right. That's Latin for people need to lose their jobs for the economy to figure itself out.
Right. You really have to be able to read between the lines.
That's exactly right. So, this is nothing new. This is historically right on track. And, don't be stressed out unless your 100% of your income is your Etsy store because you're not getting paid today.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hang in there. It's probably just today.
Well, it's going to come around. It'll come around.
It'll come around. That's kind of what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if this European bank purchase of Silicon Valley Bank is finalized. When that happens, things will get back to normal for those people who will have those funds.
Right.
And I think the reason this bank in England is what I don't know much about this, but I heard it on my way to do this podcast. If that purchase goes through, things will get back to normal. And I believe they purchased it because the environmental concerns that were paid for by this bank that just went down because their startup money and a lot of new energy is paid for by these Silicon Valley startups. You know what I mean? A lot of that money is right now locked down. I think this British bank that bought it or is buying it to be able to keep that going.
Okay.
So it's a scary thing. If you have money in that bank, it's a really scary thing. But if you have less than $250,000, the FDIC will make you whole. So don't be freaked out.
Right. Just hang in there. If you need a little inspiration, a lot of our podcasts are kind of timeless.
Right.
We don't talk about a lot of current things, but today we had to. We had to talk about this today.
Yeah.
So if, in keeping with that, if you're feeling a little depressed, a little scared, a little unsure, go watch the replay of the Oscars.
You're right about that.
The Oscars 2023 was, and I have never said this before, inspiring. It made me so proud and so inspired to be a maturing woman.
Yes.
It made me proud and inspired to be a mother, to be an American, and to be a dreamer and a dream keeper for so many people over the years. As a business coach, you really hold that person's dream as you help them to unfold it and walk it out. And the 2023 Oscars was all of that and more. And if you don't have time to watch the whole thing, just watch the speeches. Absolutely incredible.
I would say watch the first 30 minutes of the Oscars, and that's all you need.
Yep,
if you watch the first 30 minutes of the Oscars, and I do mean the opening speech too, and it's funny. Jimmy Kimmel,
did a great
you either
job.
love him or you hate him. I thought his opening speech was great. And what a good couple of speeches when they had the Best Supporting Actor and Best Supporting Actress
they
awards.
Killed it.
That's the first award.
I don't want to ruin
night.
it for anybody, but holy smokes, watch that. And then if that doesn't get you out of it, give me a call. We'll have a little, listen, David and I are always available to the people that we love. And if you're listening to this, you're probably one of the people that we love.
That's right.
We are always available for a quick 5-10 minute pep talk.
That's right.
And it's kind of one of the things we do best.
Yes.
We'll pump up your tires and put out your fires and help you remember that life is still good.
I had a conversation with some new prospective clients over the weekend And they were like, well, David, what kind of sets you apart from other lenders? And I said, well, let me tell you something. Buying a house is stressful. Mm-hmm. Statistically, it's almost as stressful as the loss of a loved one in your direct family.
Right.
Super stressful. So I'm the guy that's the fun lender. Right. I'm the guy that's going to help try to take some of the stress away. Yes, loans have stressful situations, but wouldn't it be much nicer if you smiled every time you talked to your lender?
Yeah.
That's what I told them, and they downloaded their application and started working on it yesterday.
You said something about Costco, running into them at Costco.
That's exactly right. If you are going to feel awkward running into your loan officer at Costco, do not pick that guy, because that's going to be a bad experience that you'll remember for the rest of your life. Meanwhile, my customers run into me at Costco, and for the most part, they're pretty happy.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about the stress of a transaction. Man, this last deal I just closed last week in Eastern Washington, buying or selling a home is stressful.
Yes.
And one of the things I pride myself in is taking the stress out of the transaction for my clients.
Sure.
Right. I try to absorb all that stress, all the high stress, and absorb all of it, and then put out a low voltage,
That's right. Like a step down transformer.
That's right. And not only was it a stressful situation selling this home, and the seller had a lot going on and a lot of pieces and parts to it, but then like mere days before we were scheduled to list it live, her father passed away suddenly.
Sad.
So talk about a 1-2 punch.
Right.
So I have to give a big shout out to that client, Lillian, for pushing through and doing the things that needed to be done. Now, I did, when that happened, she was going to try to go ahead and list it right then.
Right.
And I said, there's no reason to rush. She wasn't living in it.
Right.
It could just sit. I said, take a week. I'll call you in a week, and we'll see where we are.
Right.
And we'll figure out what. And then it was actually some time went by. I think we were originally going to list it November 11th.
Okay.
Veterans Day.
Yeah.
And we ended up listing it. I mean, it just closed last week. So
yeah. And it was on the market for 3 days before it had an offer, or not even 2.
No, we got 3 offers the first day.
Oh, there you go.
But a month ago, I mean, it had to be a month ago,
right?
Because it was a pretty quick closing. So February, is when we finally listed it,
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it's the same kind of thing, work with people who you want to see, who you want.
That's right.
And she expressed really beautiful, genuine, heartfelt gratitude for the way that I handled the process and made it as easy as possible for her. So that was great.
Yeah. And if you're in a situation that you walk out of a meeting with a banker and you feel kind of nervous and sick to your stomach, that's not your guy.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's not.
Right.
It's not your guy.
Yeah.
If you walk out of a meeting and feel like your questions were answered and you feel comfortable and you're laughing and patting each other on the back, that's your guy.
Right.
Use your guy. And I'm not just saying that because I like to be that guy for people.
Right.
I'm saying that because I want everybody to remember the good in life. And if you have a relationship with a lender who's good, that you enjoy, don't come see me. Stay with that guy.
Right.
Or gal.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I think, something to really listen to your gut. Listen to your gut.
Mm-hmm.
And you're looking for a feeling of confidence.
Right.
Rather than a feeling of uncertainty.
Right. And let me tell you something. That's the key when you're working with a success team in whatever you do.
Yeah.
If you feel like the members of your success team make things better for your process, stick with that team.
Yeah.
Lean into that team.
Yep. That's a really good place to kind of wrap it up. If you're feeling uncertain in your world, get in touch with us. We'll help you find that certainty again.
That's exactly right. If you want to have a conversation with Londa from Sherwood Austin Solutions about the sales process in your business, or about, first impressions. If you want to find out how you can make your business knock it out of the park the first moment somebody walks in the door, you need to reach out to Londa at SherwoodAustin.com right now. Londa at SherwoodAustin.com. And if you're a salesperson and you want to feel better about what's happening in the economy, you can reach out to David at SherwoodAustin.com. That's David at SherwoodAustin.com. And I will end it by saying this. If you're in the process of buying a home, it's only getting better. Don't be freaked out about this thing in California. Things are only getting better for you.
It's all going to be okay.
We'll be back again next week. This has been Austin's Off the Air.